Hello and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host Jo Millmine and this is episode 101, No Dalmatians Required.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright. I need a drink, I need a friend.
Hello and welcome into episode 101, No Dalmatians Required. I am Jo, I am your host of the podcast and I'm back again with you, delighted to be back again with you after a little break. In order to move house, well, if you strain your ears a little bit, you'll hear this sounds exactly like the old room I used to record in. That's because it is exactly like the old room I used to record in, because it is the old room I used to record in. That's a good thing, it's fine. The move has not gone quite as quickly as we planned for it to occur, however. Promise is a promise and all that, so I'm back with you again. I was just missing it too much. And the people were starting to ask me when I was coming back, so they've obviously caught up with all the other 100 episodes to listen to now. So here I am again, and fantastic it is to be back. If you are new to the podcast, episode 101, welcome. You've got a lot of catching up to do, but take your time. You know, take it easy. There's no pressure with this show to listen to everything and certainly not to keep up in any way, shape or form, as you'll know if you follow my progress with knit-alongs. And if you're a returning listener, thank you for coming back to listen to me once again. I have missed you greatly since the last time we chatted, and really, really pleased to be back again with you. So I know a few of you are probably wondering what has been going on recently in the whole saga. I left you with Miniature Pollard, if you remember, who came to view my house with his fit dad, and it all got a little bit distracting last time we chatted, and I have a little bit of an update on that for you. But before I do, so you can decide whether you're going to commit to episode 101 with me today, I thought I would give you a heads up of what we have planned. Now, I did look for some comedy Dalmatian themed knitting patterns and there weren't enough. There weren't enough to make a pattern pick, I'm afraid. So there won't be any Dalmatian themed patterns in this show. So if that's what you're expecting, you might want to skip to the next one. Or indeed hang around, because something else random's bound to come up. You know what I'm like. So I have a bit of chat about what we've been up to, and some news on events that are upcoming and I will be attending, provided I don't win tickets to the CBeebies Nutcracker Panto in the ballot, but that's another story. And I can feel it coming, I know it's going to happen. We've also got an update in knitting terms in the Whipping Piccadilly section and what I've actually managed to crank out on the knitting front. Got Enablers Corner, because we love Enablers Corner. And that will be it for our catch-up kind of reboot sort of episode that we're going into today. So if that sounds like you, if it sounds like that's going to be fun, grab yourself a large gin and tonic, because it's always gin o'clock somewhere. Put your feet up and we shall crack on with the show. So, since Mini Pollard, everybody sort of loved Mini Pollard. What happened? What happened to Mini Pollard and his fit dad? Well, Mini Pollard and his fit dad did not buy the house, and disappointingly did not give me any feedback on the house, which it was, you know, I was a little bit sad. You know, I was hoping, there was some good banter going, I was hoping for more, but they didn't buy it. I think they bought one in the next street, to be honest. But the house was always going to be a little bit big for them, I think, because he was quite young. And I was like, you look like a tradesman, but this is a bit more of a grown-up project than maybe you kind of can see right now. Because it's a big old house. So, unfortunately, Paul Rudd and his fit dad were not the buyers of the house. But clearly someone else has bought the house. #spoiler. And I also had a visit from another lady who I absolutely loved, and I was outside planting flowers in my garden, as you do, pretending that I know what I'm doing, because I've gone to Aldi and the local nursery, and I've bought an absolute ton of bedding plants to make it look like I'm all horticultural and stuff. And I could grow that stuff if I could be bothered, but I'm an impatient person, and I'm quite happy to go and get my cut price flowers from supermarkets on a Friday morning when I know I'll get a good deal on some Cape Flora and some nice proteas, because Wiganers don't buy proteas. But I'm not really down with the whole gardening piece, really. I like sitting in the garden, like drinking in the garden. I can admire other people's flowers in the garden. I'm not down with the hard work. I'm just not down with the hard work. Although I started to find it a little bit sort of therapeutic, just standing there watering the flowers after a while. And I had a couple of comedy incidents where I ordered some lavender plants. I was like, I'll get some Scottish lavender plants. And I ordered these lavender plants thinking they'd be quite big, and they weren't. They were absolutely tiny. They're going to be big enough to be lavender plants in about 4 years when I'll be nowhere near here, frankly. But there you go. And as I'm watering my flowers one day, my ridiculously over-the-top frou-frou hanging basket that I got for a £5 from the nursery. I was loving my work on that one. This Chinese lady walked past, and she was like super glamorous and was just like really nicely dressed and had these big glasses on, so she looked like Jackie O. So then she became known as Jackie O because you have to give everyone a nickname. I give everybody a nickname, even if they don't want a nickname, even if I know their name, they get a nickname. It's like a pet thing. That's just what I do. And this lady, Ivy, became known as Chinese Jackie O. Now, she was very keen on the house and was going to come back with an offer. But in the meantime, another couple booked a viewing. So we did all, like, you've got to tidy the house. And this is a big house. Even when you're keeping it tidy, it's like a 4-hour job just to get it to inspection standard, if you will, for the people to come. And it's always like running around on the last minute. Now, Chinese Jackie O did us the courtesy of being 15 minutes late. However, the people who came after her came 15 minutes early. Now, I know I've read everything. I've read everything on selling houses. I know, fresh bread, coffee, bacon, get rid of your dogs, blah-de-blah-de-blah, be ready 15 minutes early. And that's all well and good, but I work up to the wire. So 15 minutes before they were meant to be there, the doorbell goes and I had to go and answer the door. And I looked a bit like Vicky Pollard. If you don't know Vicky Pollard, I'll put a link. I'll put a little YouTube video in so you can get the kind of effect. And basically, you have like your clothes that you wear to create this middle class, wonderful atmosphere of aspiration, and identifying with, like, the person that's selling the house and buying the house, and the lifestyle that you're selling, all that good stuff. I work in marketing. I know all about this thing. I rewrote all of the description for my house so it would appeal to my ideal buyer. All the good stuff, right? #lifestyle. And so they turn up, and I have got old jeans on because I'm bleaching everything inside, and I've got a vest on because it was quite hot. It was August. White vest on that I'd thrown on because I was so hot, over a green bra, which you can see through the top because they're never going to see it, because I'm going to go and get changed into my lovely Bowden clothes. Well, not Bowden, but you know what I mean, nearly Bowden-ish clothes, a much more affordable price point. And I'm going to get changed into them, and I'm going to look all like, ideal home. No, they ring the doorbell, and because I don't want them to go away, because I don't want them to think we're not there, I answer the door looking like Vicky Pollard with my hair scraped up on top of my head. So yeah, that was emotional. I'm like, no, can you come back in 15 minutes? I just need to get changed. So I did slip into something a little bit more white stuff, and they came and looked round, and that was it. They loved it. They offered the full asking price in like an hour because they were frightened Jackie O was going to buy it. And it was all good. So we've just entered into that whole, and if you've sold a house ever, you'll know about this. It's like, we want to exchange in 4 weeks. They want to move in on the 23rd of September. There is no chain. They're invented. We're good to go. Mortgage is in place. How hard can it be? If you're rubbish at conveyancing, it can be really bloody painful. And it's just, unfortunately, they've picked probably the lowest ability conveyancer in the entire town. And it's taken forever. Anyway, yeah, so I'm at the point of going round and literally stabbing her with my DPNs, because it's only 2 streets away, and I could probably do that. But in the interest of, like confessing prior to the crime and putting it on the internet for everybody to hear, I'm probably not going to commit that particular crime in that way anymore. But you get where I'm coming from. It's really frustrating when you're trying to like sort your life out. So hopefully, I'm hoping they're going to pull a finger out and do it today, because it was meant to be done a week and a bit ago. But hey, there you go. So I have new buyers. I'm not going to tell you anything about them apart from they're a lovely family. And I don't know if she knits, but that's all I'm going to tell you, because obviously they are going to move in here. So just in case they do listen, I'm not going to jeopardise anything by saying anything about them, but they are very nice. So I'm very happy, because my lovely money pit house is going to a nice family. And they've already got plans for the new kitchen with a big range and everything. It's going to be a maze. So very exciting times at Casa Shiny. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. I have a few funny stories to share with you in the next few episodes, including Get Crashing a Funeral. I'm getting chatted up by an octogenarian, but I'm going to save those for you. I've been writing them all down. I've got a special notebook that a lovely person gave to me, and I've been keeping notes on everything funny so I can share more funny stuff with you. So yeah, that's where we're up to really. Fingers crossed this time next week we'll be loading a white transit van or similar, whatever enterprise feel free to give us, and we'll have our copy of The Sun down the front of the dashboard and a kebab box. I mean, I'm not going to eat the kebab, but we could get one from somewhere, and we'll be rocking the whole white man van look, because we're actually self-moving this time for various reasons. So yeah, exciting. Can't wait to drive my van. So what else have I got coming up for you now? I have some news on some events. So, who's going to the Emporium? Put your hand up. I'm going provided. Although I might be still going instead of, right. So I applied for CBeebies Nutcracker pantomime tickets in Sheffield on that weekend. And it's the 5th and 6th of November is Yamporium, not to be confused with the CBeebies pantomime, which will be in no way like Yamporium. I'm just going to throw that out there. And so I decided to enter the ballot. Now, there aren't that many tickets, and apparently last year 200,000 people applied. So I entered the ballot from my using a VPN from my sun lounger in Tenerife last week, and entered the ballot and forgot all about it. Ordered train tickets the other day to go to Yamporium, and then remembered when CBeebies told me on Facebook that the ballot was now closed, and promptly heard the universe telling me that actually I was going to win one of those ballot tickets. And probably for the exact time I'm meant to be in Yamporium, and then there'll be some kind of guilty wrangling, and it's kind of, wringing of hands whilst I decide exactly which unfortunate soul I'm going to lumber with the CBeebies panto. I'm going to Emporium anyway. I'm not sorry. So I'm sure my mum will love the CBeebies panto. So yeah, we haven't definitely got tickets yet, but you know where these things go. So if you're going, I'm going to be there on the Sunday, which is the 6th of November. Please do say hi to me if you see me. Don't look and giggle and run past. Don't not say hi because I look busy, because I always look busy, because I don't just stand still. I'm always chatting to somebody, so just interrupt me or hang around behind me or something or whatever. Please say hello to me. I love saying hello to people. I'll be very disappointed if you tell me afterwards that you saw me but you were too shy. I'm lovely. Come say hello, really. Because all I want to do is see what you've bought. That's all I want to do. It's fine. So it's been run by our lovely friends at Yarn in the City, Alison and Rachel. And there are loads and loads of really cool vendors that are going to be in attendance in central London. It's going to be fun. So they have over 40 vendors in the marketplace. They're going to have some classes as well, with various lovely people like Carrie Westerman and Renee Callahan. If you want a bit of brioche, then she's your girl. She's going to be teaching a brioche steps basic class. Although by the time you listen to this, half of these are probably going to be sold out, so get over there really quickly. If you're in for the old workshops, then don't muck about. There's not time for that. No time for tears. But it's gonna be fun. I think it is gonna be fun. So I will put links to their website in the show notes for the page where you can go and get advance tickets. They're available now. And if you want to go, I also have been given 2 tickets to give away. So, something different this time. I'm looking to ring in the changes in lots of ways in the podcast coming up in the next few weeks. But this time, if you want to enter, go to the page on my website, shinybees.com, go to the show notes page for this episode 101, and leave me a comment on the show notes, please, of whatever you want. I went to Yarn Emporium and I bought whatever you will buy. And I will draw a winner for that next week. So you've got time to get your train tickets and everything ready for the Yarnporium. How does that sound? Good? Good. Super. All the times, dates, locations, etc. I will put in the show notes as well for you. Next up on the events front, if you're going to be missing Yarnporium, I have some details from my lovely pal Jane, who is going to be exhibiting at Festival. So Festival is a festival in Hertfordshire, in Hitchin, in the UK, and it's been going for a couple of years now, and it's fairly small. It's got about 50 people that are going to be exhibiting, and this year the event will be on the 12th of November from 10 till 5 at the new atrium, North Hertfordshire College, Hitchin campus. Tickets are £7.50 on the door, £5 in advance, or £4 for OAPs and children under 10. So if you fancy getting involved in that, that would be wonderful as well if you're around that area, around Hertfordshire, or with an easy travelling distance. Definitely worth going and having a look at these smaller shows. I find that the smaller ones, you get a lot more variety than you get at the big ones. The big ones tend to be the usual suspects, and the little guys don't always get in because the big shows have a lot more competition. So if you're looking for something a little bit different, I certainly find that the smaller shows is where you will find that. And if you're already going to Hitchin, or you plan on going now, do go and say hello to Jane. She is Gardening Witch Designs, and she's going to have project bags, stitch markers, shawl pins, and other bits and bobs, as well as some yarn bowls from Chris Greening Pottery. Everybody likes a good yarn bowl, don't they? So that's Festival in Hitchin. I'm using up all my H's today, Hitchin, and that will be on the 12th of November. So, on to Enabler's Corner. The return of some lovely enabling. I do love a bit of enabling. And this week I've got some good enabling. This week I am enabling you to Northern Yarn. You'll find Northern Yarn at northernyarn.co.uk, or she does market stalls in Lancaster, Garstang, and sometimes in Preston, all around the north of England in Lancashire, which is of course where I am. It's run by Kate. She's absolutely lovely. I've met her a couple of times now, and she has a big focus in her shop on local wool, stuff that's got low air miles and absolutely no plastic. So always good, always good. The main thing that caught my eye from Northern Yarn, other than being a fellow Northerner, obviously, always a really important thing. I'm not kind of, anti-Southern or anti-Yorkshire or anything else. I do like a Northerner. I do like a Northerner, especially if they look like Paul Rudd. And Kate doesn't, because she's a girl, but she has some really lovely local wools that you're not going to see, you're not going to find really anywhere else. And you know how much I do like something that's a little bit different. So as well as the lovely Teeswater wools hand dyed that she's got, which I saw at Countess Bliss, she had a skein of it, lovely skein of grey, and I had a good pet of that and decided it was very much my kind of thing. This Teeswater comes from Higher Gills Farm in the Ribble Valley. Basically the bottom of Pendle Hill is Higher Gills Farm, which is run by Frida and Daryl, and that is hand dyed for Kate, and she sells it in her shop. It's really nice, something very, very different. If you like your breed wools, but you don't like the boring, the neutrals that it normally comes in, and you want something a little bit jazzier, then that could hit the spot quite nicely. Instead of all the plain colours, you could have something nice and jazzy instead. She has lots of different colourways in that. Really nice. Something, like I said, completely different and worth checking out. Also, she has Lancashire Farm Wool, which is produced by Kate Schofield, and it's all from a conservation flock in Silverdale, which is in Lancashire. It's over towards Morecambe and the coast for those that are familiar with the area. This is a mix of North Country Cheviot, BFL, and both cross and purebred Jacob, so it looks super bouncy. And I think it's really reasonable at £9 per 100 grams. It does only come in the natural shades. I can do the cream. I can do cream or the grey. If you can get a grey, I'm happy with the natural shade. But otherwise, I'm not down with the browns. But there's lots of different shades in that. And if that's your bag, if you like your natural shades, I know tons of you do, then definitely worth having a look at as something a little bit. Every now and again we like something a bit different, and it's nice and chunky. You get a hat out of that, £9. Bob's your uncle. So, and most excitingly, and the reason, apart from the other two reasons that I wanted to enable you to Northern Yarn today, is she's spun her own yarn. I saw it on Facebook. She's had her own yarn spun. I love this. I'm so excited. I just think it's really ballsy to open a yarn shop and then get your own yarn spun. It's so cool. And it's something that I've, been interested in since hearing Alice Ellsworth talk about it way back from Whistlebear Yarns. I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes. She's had her own yarn spun from Wensleydale and Mohair that she's farmed herself. And she said it was a really, really big learning curve in getting your own yarn spun and all the different terminology and dealing with the different peoples and all that kind of stuff. It sort of pricked my interest. I thought, I want to know more about that. And obviously Kate had her own yarn spun as well. So she will be coming on to chat about it in the next sort of few weeks once I'm re-established a little bit further north. Then I will be getting together with her, probably in person, because it's a good excuse, isn't it? And having a good chat about that and asking her some questions about that. So yeah, she's had her own yarn spun from Paul Dorset Lamb's Wool, Paul Dorset and BFL Blend, which is available in a 4-pliner DK and came from one farm. The farmers are called Lynn and Michael. I love this. Lynn and Michael farm this yarn for her, and she's had it spun. And hopefully it will be available 29th to 30th October at Kendal Wool Gathering. She's going to be on stall 17. It's in Kendal. I'll link to it all in the show notes. But yeah, I love that. You know me, I'm not dogmatic about where my yarn comes from in terms of it must only be British, or it must only be this, or it must only be that, or I'm only going to use Red Breeze, I'm only going to do that, because I don't like to restrict myself. I like funfair. I've shared a funfair pattern this week. I believe there's this space for every yarn in the world. But and what I'm big on is provenance and stories. I want to know which sheep it came off. I want to know who's dyed it. I want to know where it's been spun. I want to see them looking happy. I like that kind of stuff. I like to hear the whole story behind how it was produced. And, there won't be much of a story behind funfair, but I like it just because it feels a little bit subversive, especially when everyone's now so into the proper wool, which is great, and that all acrylics are evil and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like liking tinsel yarn, and I really like tinsel yarn, and I'm not sorry. It just feels a little bit subversive, and it's really cool. I'm going to get some from Black Sheep, and I'm not sorry. But if you don't like tinsel yarn and you do want some beautiful handcrafted, hand-spun, one-of-a-kind yarns that you're only going to get from Northern Yarn, called Northern Yarn. I love it. She's going to be launching it at Kendal Wool Gathering. So, what is not to enable you to that? Can you hear how excited I am? I love it. I love it when people do things a little bit differently. What's not to be excited about there? If you're a big fan of your proper wools, your British wools, or your single farm wools, then, or you're just a northerner, because we like to stick with our own, don't we? Then get yourself over to Northern Yarn. You'll find her on Facebook, and you'll find her at northernyarn.co.uk. As I say, her name is Kate, and tell her I sent you. Tell her how excited I am about it, because I really am. I think it's super, super cool. So, on to Whipping Piccadilly. Whipping Piccadilly. Love it, love it. So I've been doing some knitting, somewhat unsurprisingly, or somewhat surprisingly, some might say, because I've been very, very busy. Been a busy girl. It's been a bit crazy. But I have been doing a little bit of knitting, and as it's been a few weeks, I thought, let's kind of clear the decks with an update of where we're up to and what we're knitting on, and asking you for some recommendations. So, because otherwise I'll fall in a Ravelry hole and I'll cast something else on and it won't happen. So first up, I have works in progress. The rewind knit along. Rewind. When the crowd say bo, bo, bo. I love Greg David. So the Lush cardigan is always still ongoing, but it's nearly finished. I've only got the button band to do now on one side, and then we are good to go, my friends. This pattern is by Tin Can Knits. I've knitted it about 1 million times now. It won't be the last time that I knit it because I still love it. It's brilliant. And the yarn is by Berry Colourful Yarnings. It was a special Shiny Bees colourway that she designed for me, and it's red and sparkly, and I love it, and I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. It's a 75% merino, 20% silk, 5% stellina yarn. But it's not the big bits of stellina, it's the little crinkly bits of stellina. It's beautiful, it's beautiful. If you look on Instagram, you'll see some pictures, badly lit pictures that aren't flat lays, of my work in progress. And I'm loving it. I've tried it on. I did the small size, because the last time I knit it for me, I fiddled around with everything, all the numbers and stuff, and it ended up not fitting very nicely. So I've just done what the pattern said, which is what everyone told me to do in the first place. And it's looking good. It's a nice little fit there. So just the last button band to put on, which always takes forever, doesn't it? And then we're good to go. Get some buttons and off we go. I do still have some prizes to give away for the rewind knit along, and people are still knitting along on this, and I'm not closing it. It's going to continue forever until the dawn of time, until I've run out of yarn to knit Lush cardigans with. Because it's a great pattern. It's super versatile, and everyone just seems to love the pattern and wants to knit it at least once a year. So let's just keep it open then, All good, all good. So I'll hopefully get around to doing those prizes this week so I can post them all out before I have to pack my entire house up. And not before time, really. It's one of those things. The prizes recently have sort of got away from me in terms of getting things done because they've just been quite far down the list, to be honest. What other things am I working on? I'm also knitting Frisson by Brittany Wilson. I've talked about this before on the podcast. It is being knit in Toil and Trouble Patagonia's colourway, which was dyed for the Golden Skein last winter. It's an 80% merino, 20% nylon blend. Super lovely yarn, enjoying the base, loving the colours. Bored of the pattern. Don't like the pattern. I'm knitting it for LJ though, so I'm going to carry on. But the finished object is nice. Like, you look at it and you go, yeah, that's going to look like nice on. And the yarn's coming out really pretty and it's fairly mindless, but I'm just like, you just don't vibe with some patterns. You're just like, yeah, I'll knit it, but I don't really want to. And it's not like it's all garter stitch or all stocking stitch. It's just, I'm just feeling a bit of friction there. I don't know why that's the case, but it is. But I'm going to crack on. I took it off on my Holsmy and got a couple of the little points in. And the rows are getting longer now as well, which kind of makes, you go through the yarn quicker, don't you, that way. So I'm looking forward to getting that off the needles, to be honest, so I can cast something else on. Even if it is just acres of stocking stitch, there's a place in my heart for stocking stitch, but not so much for this pattern. Like I say, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just not feeling it. So hopefully that'll be done soon. And I have finished something, and I can't remember if I told you I'd finished it or not, so I better tell you that I've finished it. And that is the Talisman Shawl by Helen Stewart. Curious Handmade Helen, which was the first one from the Shawl Society, which I am in. It's great. I love it. I'm loving the patterns. I'm liking seeing everyone's interpretations of the different patterns that she's creating. It's fun. I like it. I like it a lot. I knitted this in the Wool Kitchen Urban Hints in the colourway Blood Orange, which I bought from Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So very quick turnaround on that yarn to get that on the needles and knit, which is a 50% superwash merino and 50% silk blend. Now, there is a little bit of an error in it, and I really couldn't be bothered taking it out again because I had no brain space for ripping out. And it's only like one row of like a little flower pattern on the bottom. It's not like it was a boonits or anything, but I still managed to cock it up somehow. But I just didn't want to rip it back. I wasn't in the space for it. However, luckily for my OCD, my mother-in-law really likes it. So I'm going to give it to her because she's dead nice. I do really like her. I'm very lucky with my mother-in-law. It could be a lot worse. And because she appreciates my knitting and she knits loads for my kids, I'm going to give it to her because I think it'll look nice. She'll like it. But it was a good pattern, just an ineffective operator, basically. Nice mindless stuff, just sitting in front of the telly and watching Netflix, basically. And future knitting. This is where you could help me out. I want to knit some hats for the fam. Winter is coming and I need to knit hats. And I've managed to acquire some lovely DK and Aran Weight BFL Masham yarn, the English Gentleman, from Countessa Blaze on one of my many visits. So we can all have like matching hats, but different colours, but the same stuff. Because it's lovely. I love the feel of it. So I'm looking for some hat patterns to knit for me and for Millie and for the Beast and Sanimal. But I don't want to fall into a Ravelry black hole, really, and I'm just not feeling that inspired with stuff that's jumping out. I mean, there are loads of patterns, but I'd quite like some recommendations of stuff you've knit, and it's been quite fun because, as I found out from Freeson, not everything that you think is going to be fun is that fun. So I'd like to know some that are like quite nice, mindless stuff. Then I can produce a set of matching hats. Very exciting, very exciting. Also, I have planned for my future knitting, because I've managed to pick some patterns at least, the kindling hat and mitts from Knit Vent 2015, which is another one by Helen Stewart, my lovely pal, Curious Handmade. And this I'm going to knit in the Little Grey Sheep wool. They have their own blend of wool called Stein. They've crossbred. They've bred their own sheep basically to have really nice wool properties, and it's got Merino and Gotland and a few others in there, Shetland, and they've crossbred them and they've produced this Stein wool, and it's super bouncy and lovely. So I managed to fall into a Stein black hole at Yarndale and buy just one skein of it in the DK, and I think I can get the hat and the mitts out of this one skein. So I'm looking forward to that because I love Knit Vent. I love it. I love the little twinkly lights on her photographs. I love the haze on the kid silk. It just feels like dead magical, and she had a little tea party last year, and I bet she has a massive Christmas tree, and she's into all that kind of that stuff and that look, and I was just like, oh, it's not really Christmas until Mariah's been on Radio 1 and Helen's brought out Knit Vent. Then I'm like, no, it's Christmas. So I'm super excited to see what she's got on for this year, because she always does really pretty stuff. And basically she likes fairy lights and I like fairy lights, so it's all good. So, sod the Coca-Cola truck. It's nothing to do with the Coca-Cola truck. Mariah on Radio 1, Helen Knit Vent. It's Christmas. So Mariah's already been on Radio 1, by the way, a couple of weeks ago. So Helen, you're on, dove. So yeah, that's what I'm working on and what I will be working on. But please do, if you have any good ideas for hat patterns, I'll put a little hat enabling thread in the group on Ravelry, or you can just tag me on whatever social media. I am at Shiny Bees, and share with me your best hat patterns for the fam. I do have the entire Ting Hand Knits collection, if you're thinking of suggesting any of those. But some other ones as well would be good. I like to try different people every now and again. So there we go. So what will we have next time? Because that is pretty much all I have time for today. But next time I'm going to be, she says, I've got no idea what I'm going to knit my kids and I need some hat ideas. But next time I'm reviewing Painted Woolly Toppers for Kids, which is a book of hat patterns. I know, I just want more. Next time, I'm gonna have a look back at knitting goals. I talked about knitting goals at the beginning of the year and about what I would like to achieve over the year and how you go about planning it and how do you keep up and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to revisit that episode really, and how far I've got with the goals, and hear about how far you've got with what you plan to do with your knitting this year, because we have a couple of months left, and now the winter is closing in, it's coming up quickly. And pushing autumn out of the way, it's a good opportunity to get a good sprint in at the end. So I just want to revisit that and see how we're all getting on with it and see if we can spare each other on to the end of the year to see what we can get done. Always, we have an Enablers Corner, and there will be another one next week along with a few Halloween patterns because I also really like Halloween. So that's what we've got coming in the next episode if you want to hang around till then. Put my notes down. So that is all we have time for this week on the knitting front. On the worky, personal, fun, businessy sort of stuff front, I have a group over on Facebook called Chinese Hive. It's a free group and I'm in there with a load of fellow business people, and we're all in there supporting each other, having fun, helping each other out with stuff. And if you are a business owner in the Yarny community, or you would like to be, or elsewhere in fact, and you want to come join us, you'd be more than welcome. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you if that is your kind of thing. Yeah, it's been really good. Been a very positive place for me recently. I'm enjoying it a lot. #Shine Theory. So that is all I've got time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I have certainly enjoyed being back with you. I've missed you. And I'm looking forward to chatting to you again very soon. So have a lovely week. Happy crafting, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. If you'd like to get in contact with me, you can do so via the blog, or I'm Shiny Bees on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest and Facebook. You can email me at shinybeesinfo@gmail.com. Music for this episode is provided by Music Alley, and it is Adam and the Water Boys and I Need a Drink.
I need a drink. I need a friend.